Welcome back to the Silver Grappler BJJ podcast. Today, Professor Jason Macdonald shares his experience learning judo in Japan, its unique culture, and how he stays sharp and motivated in BJJ as an older grappler. Fix your gi, tie your belt, let's get this podcast started. Professor, welcome to the podcast. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me, Pat. This has been a long time coming, so I'm glad we're able to share this space. We're used to sharing the space on the mats, but
That's right. And we don't get to see each other because we're so busy in our private lives. We're different sides of a very large city. So I'm so glad that you were able to make the podcast. Again, when we do run into each other, it's usually special occasions, and we'll call this one a special occasion.
Yeah, a worthy special occasion, definitely.
Right on. So the people don't know you. You have a very interesting journey as a martial artist. Why don't you tell us a bit about yourself and about your background? And I want to dig in on a couple of things because this is finally the chance for me to ask some questions that I've never had the opportunity to ask.
Well, first of all, thank you. I wanted to say shout out to all your listeners. You are definitely, anyone who's listening and gets a chance to listen, you're definitely getting a treat. Pat has been an amazing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, an amazing coach, an amazing inspiration, amazing teammate on the mats, off the mats. He's put his time in, right?
I didn't pay him a cent, folks. I'm telling you right now, I didn't pay him to say that.
So we're talking decades of experience between the both of us. Pat has a bit. You have a very varied Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competition experience. You went internationally way before a lot of us did. You started seeking out opportunities to train and compete. You and some of the other guys that we all came up with, and so you were an inspiration to me. So I appreciate the opportunity to kind of share my story. Just to put it short, like my introduction to martial arts came primarily when I had an opportunity to live overseas. So when I graduated from university, my desire was to go into teaching. There was an opportunity to go teach English in Japan. I took it right after graduation, so 1999. For those who were not born, this was before 9/11. So, because I know some of our audience is like
they don't understand the pre 9/11 era, right? Yeah. When things seem a little rosier.
yes, definitely. So I was in Japan from 1999 to 2001. Wow. I worked in a high school along with Japanese English teachers. So my role primarily there was to be an in-person live English speaker so that the Japanese students had somebody that they could correspond with in natural English ways. It was like bringing an immersion program to them, right? Instead of them going to the U.S., instead of them coming to Canada to hear natural English speakers, they brought us to them. For anyone who's traveled to Japan, ethnically, it's pretty monolithic. There's some small ethnicities that are there, but overall, they're all Japanese people. And so bringing someone with my appearance, obviously, I am not typically what you would see in Japan, and I lived in a rural area in Japan. So I was treated like a D-list celebrity, go to the grocery store, little kids following me around the grocery store.
Everyone staring at you?
House, staring at me. Literally being called Gaijin-san, Mr. Foreigner, kids and parents, like when I'd show up to places was like, oh, wow, a black guy, right? So, funny story.
And you're sorry to interrupt. You're not a tiny guy either.
At this time,
you're a monster.
At this time, this was before the donuts and the other things.
No, I didn't suggest you were fat. That's for sure.
I was quite average sized, but I remember going to an onsen. So those who would know, like hot springs. So you go to like this hot springs. Everyone's out there. Everyone is kind of having like a bath in the hot spring Swedish type area. It's like kind of like an onsen, or what we call it onsen. It's like a thermal spa, like a spa.
Cool.
So I remember walking in there. And so, Everyone's Japanese, and here comes this darker skinned person. I walk through the door fully naked, and literally everyone just looks, stops, and just stares at me. And I'm like, you know, I have a great attitude about it because I think I laughed to myself, but I know for
Sure.
some of them was kind of like, literally an alien just opened the door and walked through naked, right? And so I played it off. I just kind of like, hey, what's going on? What's going on?
Hello.
Okay, hello. And
Arigato.
that's it. Like, oh, konnichiwa, 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 konnichiwa. So it was, those are the kind of experiences I experience all the time. So I was fortunate that in my school that I was working in, we had a 7th degree black belt judo practitioner, and he had experience coaching in France. So he liked working with foreigners, and so with my terrible French and his broken French, we kind of struck up a good relationship. His name was Ide Sensei. Jin Ide is his actual name, and so he was like the highest ranking judo practitioner in my province. And so that,
Wow, you struck gold.
right. And it opened up doors to me, right? So he kind of took me under his wing, and literally any place I wanted to train, I just had to say his name, doors opened, right?
Wow.
He brought me to he really introduced me to the judo culture, which is much like the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu culture. It's rooted in deep expectations, rules, and expectations of behavior. Judo is a lot more formalized than what
I was
we
just going to
started
say,
jiu-jitsu.
way more than jiu-jitsu. And,
Right.
and you and I have always had that, what we brought to the gym that we trained at, and it wasn't always there, is we did bring that structure, that traditional structure
Yes.
of respect and formality, if you will. And I've always loved that. I just like I appreciated it, right?
Yeah,
I don't.
man, yeah.
We never pushed it, but
No.
basic stuff like making sure your gi is tied nice and your
Right.
belt's tied nice, and you look good, and
Yeah.
you say thank you, you bow when you get on the mats.
Exactly. And so all that was a part of the experience. I was immersed in the culture. I got destroyed. Destroyed. And I was training with high school students. So I was about
Yeah.
22, 23 years old. And they were literally just mopping the floor with me. I had never done martial arts before that time. And so my closest thing was watching Steven Seagal movies, right? And so, I had no idea of the practical applications of grappling, and I was introduced very quickly. Everything hurt. For the first 8 months, I would lead, they train 2 hours at a time.
Yeah.
And for them, they don't drink a lot of water during, it was an old school. It was a rural area,
Beautiful. I love it.
right?
And,
And so,
and talk more about that. Like, what was the format like? Like, you kind of come in, and what did a typical Japanese judo
So,
class
I was
feel
in
like?
high school, right? So culturally, their judo is part of the high school curriculum.
Yes,
So it'd be like you
beautiful.
join the basketball team, join the wrestling team,
Like we had wrestling, yeah.
and so kids typically coming into high school would come in, typically on your judo team would come in having already received their black belt. So typically,
Oh,
13 or 14 years old, you go test for your black belt.
yeah.
And the test literally is like an open tournament, and the person who comes out with 4 wins, you get your black belt, and that starts you. That kind of qualifies you now to compete in high school. Some
Well,
kids,
that's the main difference with and sorry to
yeah,
interrupt. That's the
yeah,
main difference with judo and jiu-jitsu. It's
yes,
kind of understanding the curriculum, and when you do get your black belt, all it means is, yeah, now you're ready to study judo.
yeah. Or now you're ready to be thrown through a wall, and you can keep yourself. 'Cause that's pretty much what it was for me. Okay, he's good. You can smash him to pieces.
Yeah.
And so that was an interesting process. they drill a lot. And so,
Okay.
we came to jiu-jitsu having both of those experiences, wrestling, heavy drill culture in wrestling, a
Right.
lot of live drilling, a lot of live rolling, situational work in wrestling. Judo's the same. There's If you have a school with a judo instructor, typically your school, your coach, your judo instructor in the school would be at least a second degree, right? So at a minimum, he's second degree. Generally, if you're at a good school, the school would recruit or they would go to a university and grab a more formalized judo instructor. So a gym teacher could study judo as one of his teachables, right? So though we have teachables here for teachers, so it's like
Yeah.
history, science. So if you're a phys ed teacher, you might be good at rowing, you might be good at baseball, and judo would be your other specialty. So typically, by the time you end your university and teachers college, you'd have been like a third degree, maybe even a fourth degree if you're a good competitor. So the higher level schools would get the good level instructors. The regular schools, second degree, maybe third degree. My school had a seventh degree because he was kind of at the ending of his career. So it was kind of like, hey, go sit down in this school. You don't got to do much, just chill out. And so I was really blessed.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah, it was like when people think of Asia, they think of small, diminutive, typically passive people. That's generally like the stereotype we have of Asian culture, like very accommodating and stuff. And Japan has that, but in their martial arts, it's about spirit and it's about
It's a
intensity
warrior
and fighting.
culture.
Yes, in their martial arts, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, even though the young ladies are overall very demure, when they're doing judo, it's to the death.
Savage.
The young men, it's to the death. And then I had an opportunity to train at different schools. So the school I was at was a low level school. The school I was working at, my instructor gave me an opportunity to train at a higher level school. So one of the top schools in the province, and that training was more intense and a lot of technical development. And so, whereas we would think people have to be all around good, most kids come to high school with a certain set of their techniques. Like they have their favorite techniques. The big
Of
kids,
course.
so I'm talking like those kids that are like sumo wrestler size, like 6'2", probably 250 plus. We would put them in football. They're going into judo, right?
Right.
And
No, they're
so,
getting all the best athletes in judo. That's why they're
yes,
the best in the world still to
right.
this day.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And so that introduction and that kind of training, like I've never experienced, even coming back, even jujitsu, even boxing, I've never experienced that level of intensity to training. We would have like training camps, seasonal. There'd be like spring session, winter session, summer session. And like you would do judo maybe in a 3 day stretch from like 9 to 3, and it would
Holy
be
smokes.
sparring from 9 to 12, lunch from 1 to 3, almost 4, and I would leave there. I'd walk out, chest up, chin up. I'd go to my car and I'd just sink into my car, like my hands would be shaking. Like I fought for my life for like 3 days in a row. And then when I would go train with the higher level high school, again, 2 hour training session, they would do 2 a days. They would do more weight training and like more physical conditioning in the morning, and then they would spar after school in the evening. So I would join them for their sparring and their randori sessions in the evening, and that was
That's
like
crazy.
I felt like I was fighting for my life. And being a foreigner, everybody wanted to go with me.
Oh, smash you, right?
Oh my gosh! Like I never when we do training sessions, we did like almost like a shark bait, a Shark Tank situation where we would be lined up and we would tie like a red uh, belt around our belt, and so we'd be on the line, and you'd have to do like 10 rounds. So sometimes they're about
Wow.
2 minutes to 3 minutes, 10 rounds in a row of just like standing randomly, and yeah, it was just in a row. No, you can't come off until your 10 rounds are done, and then you can go recover, but you're expected to come back and challenge the people who are next online. And so you do that like 4 or 5 times in a day, and you're toast.
Yeah, but your skill just,
Yeah, yeah.
goes through the roof. You must have been in the best shape of your
Oh
life
my
at
life.
that point.
Oh
Yeah.
my life. I was probably about 185. I was shredded though, like,
Wow.
and it unlocks that kill or be killed. Like you're submit like in judo, speed and skill is the thing people try to acquire. Power, sometimes if you're born with it, yeah. But speed and skill, right? Those two things combined together.
Explosiveness, and one of the things that gi jiu-jitsu is really missing is grip fighting, and
Yes. Yes.
judo is the perfection of
Yes.
gi grip fighting, right?
Yes.
Like it's grip and rip, right? That was
Right.
the expression when I was doing judo. Is
Right.
you gotta fight. That's the fight. Is the fight
Right.
for your grip, and then once you get it, you don't sit there and wait. You gotta
No,
go.
you go. And you probably notice too, like we compartmentalize grip fighting with just what's happening up on top, but it's really the footwork. The
Yeah,
footwork is getting
good
you
point.
in. The footwork, like
Great
like
point.
the skip steps and the pivoting and the
I had
kaisabaki and all
problem
that.
with I had problem with the footwork in judo because it was so not like my wrestling, right?
Yeah.
In my wrestling, I was
Mm-hmm.
much more bent over. I
Mm-hmm.
was always low to the ground, and once they took the leg
Leg grabs.
attacks away from judo, well, to me it killed judo for me. But you were doing it at the time when the legs were still in play, right?
Yes, yes, yes. And but I was always encouraged to have an upright posture.
Oh,
So
Japan, of
yes,
course.
yeah. So my my training was upright, bending over, dominate, dominate. Like no, no, no. Like don't do that.
Yeah,
And also too, like
I struggled with that.
yeah. Well, because it's not advantageous. That is beautiful to look at, but when you're
Beautiful.
going against, as you see sometimes with in international judo, when you see some European nations will have their own grappling styles,
Yep.
bent over is typically how they approach it, and the traditional people have difficulty with that, right? Because that's a reactive. Like you can be better reactive when you're bent over because you have access to the hips and access to the legs. So now that they've brought back the leg grabs, right? It's going to be even more interesting
They brought
because
it back?
yeah.
Really?
It's been brought back. It's been brought
Oh,
back. I'm trying
wow.
to remember. There is an expectation in terms of how you grab the leg still, but they've brought it back because I think they realized it. They took it away because a lot of the traditional, and I think it's Japan, because they kept feeling as though judo was losing its uniqueness in terms of grappling sports because and I mean Europeans and Mongolians and everybody was starting to use their traditional national style
Of course.
grappling
Yeah.
and incorporate it into their judo, which made it almost like an amalgamation of grappling.
Which is beautiful in my opinion,
It's
right? But
beautiful.
it's not the true sense of the original art. And
Listen,
I
brother,
get it. I get it.
we're at a certain age right now.
Yeah.
Do what works, right?
So it's very interesting, and again, we're talking about
Yes.
footwork and posture. One of the things I with gi specifically that I teach the kids is if you're not in contact, your wrestling stance and you're nice and low, so
Uh-huh.
you can do an outside shot. But as
Yeah.
soon as there's a grip, you gotta get into your judo posture, right?
Listen.
And it works very well because, as you know, my when I owned the club, we were a judo jiu-jitsu
Yes.
club.
Yes.
So we encouraged and I always encourage. I hate seeing like 7, 8 year olds pull guard like that. That's it. That kind of is a pet peeve of mine. So. I encourage especially the youngest kids, like you're only working stand up. Like if you can't
Right.
take a person down, forget all the other stupid
I
techniques,
think you're
right?
wise. I think you're wise to that because you have a time you have a limit in terms of what your body can endure. Stand up work is man's work. Sorry, it's grown up work, right? I don't want to say man's work. Obviously, we have ladies that train jiu-jitsu, But that's what separates. For you to be good at taking people down, there has to be an edge to you. You got to be an edgy person, right? You got to be. And the
What
same
a
thing with
nice
the
word. I
master.
say anger. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I use, I trigger my inner beast when I want to
Right.
take somebody down. Right.
Right. And that is, and I know we're going to get into like, the benefits for people as they get older.
Sure. Yeah.
I think that
I don't know if
that
judo is good for the older
it's
grappler. It,
not.
it,
It's
it was
not.
hard on me. It was hard on
It's
me.
not. It's not.
Yeah.
The good thing is you had wrestling, so you know how to fall properly. You know how to kind of absorb and
Well,
kind of work
not my
the energy.
judo instructor said I didn't know how to fall because in wrestling we tense up.
Mm,
My instructor Kevin Ban, who is a wonderful wrestler and a judoka,
mm,
he would laugh every time because I would tense up and try to
mm.
and
Because you
so
didn't
when I
want your
did
back to hit the ground. You're trying to
correct.
stop your back from. Right. Yeah. That's training, though, right? Like that's
Yeah,
what you have.
that was part of it, and I had to learn how to fall, especially as an older grappler. I started later,
Yeah. Yeah.
so falling became something that my instructor told me to focus on
Yes. To keep your
because
body.
I couldn't. I love throwing people, but being the uki, just was
Yeah, man.
super hard
No,
in judo.
it's that. Well, that's what I said. You're right to have the younger people work on their stand up because you have the
Yeah,
rest of your life. Your guard gets better as you get older, right?
yeah,
But your stand up, you have a window where your body can take the punishment. And to some degree, that's some of the benefits of jujitsu. I know, like I said, I know we're going to get into it,
we're
but
getting into it.
having done different grappling arts, um, there's a reason why you see more older people gravitating to jujitsu
Yeah,
because we have the option of pulling guard. We have the option of playing from your butt or from your knees. People criticize it, but I, I've evolved, right?
me too.
You and I come from an instructor who is small in stature, but one thing you can say about him is the versatility is there. And, I explain to my students now, I said, you guys are living in a time that you have to be better than my generation of grapplers because you're getting to roll with a black belt every class. Like,
Yeah.
we had to share our instructor. And not just with other students, right? He had people coming from all over the city that wanted to roll with him,
All over.
and they would just show up and be like, "Hey, my guy has an MMA fight. Do you mind working with him?" Like during our classes and training sessions. So our instructor had to give his body a lot,
Yep.
to our benefit, because we met the Carlos Newtons of the world. We got a chance, the monkeys, all these
Monkey used
different
to
people.
come by all the time,
Monkeys
and
come by all the time and scare the hell out of us, right?
yeah,
Like we had an opportunity because he was so accessible to everybody. It brought us in contact with really skilled grapplers, but we had to share him. You know,
yeah. We were
most.
when we broke away from the original club
Hmm.
that we were at.
Yeah,
We were just a room full of white belts and a couple of blue belts.
blue
We had
belts.
one purple belt. Do you remember the guy's name?
Um,
Victor.
yes, 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 yes. That's right.
Victor from
That's right.
Colombia.
Yes, yes, yes,
And he
yes. He
was
was
the old
good. Yeah.
and we looked at him like a god
Yeah.
because
Yes. Yes.
he was a purple belt and he was
Yeah.
really good too.
He was
Like
very good.
so
He was very good.
but like you
Yeah.
said, yeah, we would get those visitors. We didn't even know what belt they were half the
Right.
time because there was a
Showing
lot
up.
of no-gi and they showed up and we're like, "Oh my god, they're good. Oh, a new guy."
Right. Right.
And like you said, nowadays, we're spoiled. I'm spoiled
Right.
at my club. Like the club that I'm at, we have at least 4 or 5 black belts on
Hmm.
per class, right? And
Which is
purple. It's
amazing.
it's the ocean of purple belts at our club.
And so think about that. Like one thing when we were starting, and even like you look at a place like Japan and you say like, why are they so good at judo?
Yeah,
Because they found a way to make people contribute once their athletic phase of their judo experience has gone. Then you have now their contribution back to the community, right? So at any time you go to the Kodokan, you walk up in there to do a Kodokan training session. you might be on the mats with several people who are fifth degree and up, and maybe three of them were former world champions. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
and then you go to different provinces. Like I said, my instructor was working at a high school, and he's a seventh degree black belt, and he had already
Crazy.
He was like good friends with I don't. There's a Okano, which is a very famous judo player who was really good at newaza. He was like one of his training partners, and so here you have people that you're looking in these old school judo books, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, that's my friend," da, 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 da. And he's like, "Yeah, like we used to train together," and so he knows all the techniques you're seeing in the book.
Yeah.
He's not.
That's awesome.
He's now directly influencing another generation, right? He's seen every version of the technique you're doing. And he literally told me, when he saw me, he's like, how long do you plan on staying in Japan? I was like, oh, at least 2 years. He's like, oh, you'll be in second degree by the time you leave.
Oh,
I looked
wow.
at him like, second degree? What are you talking? I said, what? Because our North American perspective of black belt is demigod, right? Like, you are, you're Frank Dukes in Bloodsport, right? Like, you're like, you can turn water to wine when you're a black belt. Right.
Yeah.
And so
you did get your black belt,
yes.
and for the sake of moving on, because I can literally, because you know, man, you hit the topic like I feel like I want to spend the next hour talking about judo with you. It's just like but let's move into the jiu-jitsu portion of your life.
Yeah.
When did you get started? Because I remember when I started. Mm-hmm. You had just taken a hiatus, and then you came back, right? Yeah. So when did you actually start jiu-jitsu?
May 2005. I remember May 2005. So we were still with the Old
You
Club
sure?
Rebellion.
You sure it was 2000? Because I started in 2005. You were before me. I think you were 2004.
Was it 2004? Maybe 2004.
I'm pretty sure, buddy. Like again, I started in 2000. I started end of 2004 at a different club, and then I went to Rebellion in 2005, and that's when the.
No. It was May 2005. So the reason why I remember it is because Marcus Suarez gave me my blue belt before the end of that year.
At Rebellion, or was it at
Rebellion? At Rebellion. And so, like, I understood why. I didn't understand at the time because it's kind of like, but I wasn't a beginner. I had just done, I lived in Japan, and I trained a lot there.
Intense, yeah.
And I came back, and I wasn't really training a lot of judo, but I wasn't a beginner. Like, I had an understanding. I already knew how to do butterfly sweeps, scissor sweeps, I knew how to do all the pins, pretty much all the positions you have in jiu-jitsu, they have in judo, right? I knew how to do basic arm lock. I knew how to do kimura. And so now it was about teaching me the Brazilian jiu-jitsu application to what I had learned in judo, right? Like, I did a triangle in judo, but the triangles were not as good as the jiu-jitsu triangles because you just didn't have the time. I did arm locks. We do newaza rolling every training session, half an hour of just rolling from our knees and on our feet. And so, I wasn't coming in having not done that. Even when I was training here in Toronto, I was part of a club called the Minoru Dojo, which was downtown at the time. And it was really well known for having a lot of good Eastern European guys that were trained there. Ooh. And those guys were no joke, man.
They don't joke around. They don't joke around.
Explosive. They had good stand-up. They had good groundwork.
Aggression.
Yes. So, fun fact, when I was training there, Misha Surinov was 15. So I knew him when he was a high school kid. He still looked like the way he looked, as an adult, just a little shrunk down, right? And so he was you can look at him and just tell, he was a focused 15-year-old. He was committed to judo. He wanted to go to nationals. He wanted to win. I think he wanted to compete in judo. And, man, he was nose to the grindstone.
And for those who don't know, Misha was a UFC fighter for a time.
Yes. And, he competed in the ADCC. I think he went to the Pan Ams and not 1 point was scored against him.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It was
And like,
an insane level.
yeah. And the thing about it in judo, he wasn't. He didn't. I don't think he made top five for men's judo, like the -90 and -100, just to show you how competitive judo was,
Yeah,
right? Like
no,
someone,
it's still sick.
right? Someone that's talented and physically gifted. I could be wrong about that. Someone will probably correct me, but like he was good. He was great, but still, like there was
I've
still like
watched him train.
levels.
You got to train with him when he was young, but I've watched him
Yeah,
train as an adult, and I'm just
I
like, I was in awe. I was just
yeah.
in awe
And
of the
so like we had
intensity.
we had even in the room at the time I was there, Misha wasn't the top dog. He was 15 years old. There was guys
Yeah.
who were like better than him, right? And so
So
that was
why did you decide to do jiu-jitsu? Because again, you were so ingrained into the judo
so
culture. What pushed you to the jiu-jitsu side of things?
so. Fun fact is, when I went to Japan and I was training judo, I was actually looking for jujitsu. Me, like
Oh,
everybody, had seen UFC one and two,
UFC. Yeah.
and so I heard jujitsu and I was like, that's definitely in Japan. So when I went there and I was, teaching English, by about month two, I was like, hey, I'm here. I'm going to train jujitsu, and I was asking around, and I was told like, oh, we don't do jujitsu in Japan anymore. That's old. We do judo. I was like, I knew what judo was. I was like, judo? What do you? How is that's not better than jujitsu? Because I'm like, have you seen UFC one? Like I'm telling these guys, like, no. I don't want that weak stuff. I want judo. I want jujitsu.
Yeah.
And so it's only in training it I realized, oh, like this is the same art but a different sport,
Right.
right? And
Different
so
sport.
when I came back to Canada, I continued judo training, but I always wanted to try out Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I was calling around. And again, the right person at the right time sets your life in motion.
Oh,
I
100%.
can tell you that our instructor, Omar Salvosa, the reason why it was easy for me to go into Jiu-Jitsu and keep training is Omar. I can't, like, call me whatever you want to call me, like a cult follower or whatever. But he was such an integral part of my martial arts experience. As important to me as the person who started me, Ide Sensei, Omar is like 10 steps above that. So Ide Sensei introduced me to Japanese culture and judo culture. Omar introduced me to the pursuit of lifelong martial arts, right? And and I know like I said, we're going to talk about it, how to do something for a long time in North America without allowing things to distract you. And even coming back to it when you stepped away. Because like you said, I had stepped away from jujitsu and then I came back. And that is 100% because of the training environment, the relationship I had with Omar, right? Like, that's, part of our role as instructors is to create the kind of environment where, like you said, we're both in our 40s and I don't know if you hit 50. I'm turning 50 in like about a year and
I'm
a half.
I'm 53. I'll be
There you
54.
go. Brother, like, we don't have to do this. Like, you know what I mean?
I
Like,
know.
we could be spending time doing other things, right? And we've already made our bones. We've done the competition circuit. We've put our elbows and necks and
Yep.
spines at risk. And so, to me, like, part of you sticking with something is really the environment that's created for you to train in. And so Omar has been integral to that for me. Like I still go to him just to touch the stone, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Because that keeps me grounded, right? And so
I haven't trained directly under Omar in about well over 10 years, 12
mhm,
years, but
mhm,
I like you said, I try to visit
mhm.
on a regular semi-regular basis
Yes.
just to keep the connection. And as much as I love the affiliate and the higher ranking folks that
Mhm,
I deal with on a daily basis,
mhm.
there's only one person I want putting stripes on my belt.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I always circle back. He gave me my black belt, he's giving me my
Yes.
stripes on my belt.
Yep.
And I love him for everything that he's always been in my corner. So
That's it.
And we bring, as we get older, we also, because we can influence a room, you know, we bring some of what we had and what we came up with,
Yes.
you know, to the rooms that we're either running or participating in, right?
Yes.
So, you know, we truly believe in the hard training. We're
Yes.
both the same that way. Like,
Yes.
you're going to focus, you're going to train. Let's train, let's go. Okay, we're going to spar. Let's go. Like, let's work here. Hey, let's help each other out. And I think that was the key thing is we're not, we have to be selfless when we're training. We all want the intensity, but we always take the time to help our partner, talk through situations with our partner, whatever that might be. And I think that's really because of where we kind of grew from, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yes, and you contributed to the room with creating and contributing to that kind of environment, right? Like you, like I said, like you, Westner, and to some degree, even like some of the other guys we trained with, you led the way in terms of like, hey, we're going to seek out opportunities to kind of sharpen ourselves, right? Like we're going to drive the 8 hours to Ohio.
Oh, Westerner and I, we spent more time in the States for a while there than we did anywhere else because it wasn't the level of tournaments that we have now.
And the amount.
And the variety, right? New York, Ohio, we were like, we were going everywhere.
And brother, that's inspiring, right? Because if, you know, like for a lot of us, if you could do it, I could do it. You know what I mean? Like, so you guys were like, pace setters and trailblazers in that regard because you didn't complain about, oh, there's this no tournament. You're like, hey, let's jump in our car. We'll go find a place, right?
And we met the most interesting characters along the way, right? And
I can imagine.
That's part of the fun.
That's part of the sauce, man. It's part of the sauce.
And that's what allows you to kind of stretch out and spend time with the larger community of jiu-jitsu practitioners in your area, right? They're not your enemies necessarily, right? No. When you're on the mat, you know, and you're looking straight at them and you're ready to go, that's a different story. But as soon as you step off the mat, you hug and you say, hey, when are we going to meet up? When are we going to train?
Right. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Like, you know, I don't want to sound sappy. It's such a privilege to be able to do something this long and still enjoy it and go to a tournament and see people who, like, you have been pretty much sharing this experience with for over 2 decades. Brother, 2005 to 2025. Do you know how much stuff has happened in the world in that time? COVID broke a lot of us, man.
I had to sell my gym. Let's
look at that.
Yeah.
That destroyed a lot of gyms. Right?
Yep.
I always think about like you had an awesome gym. You know what I mean? Like I'm sitting there like Chris and Blaine. Awesome place. Yeah. Awesome environment. Breeding pure animals in that spot, right? Like killers, MMA, jiu-jitsu, guys. Like, you know, one thing you know about all the Welling guys, like when they don't get tired, man. They are conditioned, serious athletes, right? And they'll roll with anybody. Like they had the fire in their eyes, and then COVID comes and just like, and you're still standing. You're still here. Yeah. You're still training. Yeah. You could have said, forget it. You know, like I'm moving out my life. No, man, you found a place to pour into. You found a place to continue the passion. You help out.
Stronger now than ever, to be honest. Like, you know, I can't imagine my life without jiu-jitsu. And folks, he's talking me up, but this man here went on quite the streak of tournaments as well. I remember when you were pushing towards that black belt and at late purple, brown belt. You went at it. You were at every single tournament possible. You guys
led the way, man. Like I said, like
appreciate
that.
I
was looking at you guys like, hey, they can do, I can do. Right? Like that, you guys were trailblazers, and I said for our team, you got the fearlessness you guys showed with that gave me inspiration to be like, hey, let's give it a try. So,
one of the things that many folks in our area know, Professor, I'm going to call you Professor Jason. I don't instead of Professor, but too formal. One of the things you're known for, and that we miss dearly, which is the main topic here of being busy in life, and how do you continue with the martial arts. But you were perhaps the best referee in our entire region, and you laugh, and you're very humble. But you were absolutely, for years and years, without a doubt, the best, most solid, most level-headed, calm referee, paying attention to every match like it was a championship match. I don't think people thanked you enough for that dedication. It was nice that you had the time then to do that until you had the beautiful girls, and
and the
you
spot.
know, then what's that?
And where I am at right now, right?
Yes.
Studio.
Yeah. So thank you for that. What were your thoughts on reffing? Like, was it again? You never complained. You were always firm. You were such a force and so fair. I never seen those crazy coaches that get mad at other referees get mad at you. But what was the most challenging thing that you had to face as a referee?
I can tell you this. And not everybody liked how I scored stuff. Because I'll be quite honest with you. I liked everyone in our community, but I didn't owe anyone anything.
Yeah.
So if you were Toronto, if you were Toronto BJJ and you were Salvosa BJJ, you could have been my training partner. If we're here, if there's an advantage, I'm calling it. If it's for Toronto Beach, I'm calling it. Right?
Yep.
And anybody who was part of my team knew nothing. It's not my job to give you an advantage because you're on my team. Right? It's not my job to give you an advantage because you're Canadian and he's American. Right? It's not my job to do that. Those are things you got to earn. Right? Because when I walk off the mat, because I have a belief system that requires me to stand before my maker, right, in all things, that's how I base my information and the way I do things on. So
and the community respected that, and everybody knew that. So it was like when you were reffing a match, it's like, okay, I don't have to worry about it. And the other thing that kind of pisses me off with some refs is you're paying attention.
And I didn't care. I've tapped for a lot of people. I've tapped on behalf of a lot of people who were not happy with it, but you weren't doing what was necessary to keep yourself safe, brother. Like, especially with the kids, especially the teens and the kids.
Especially the kids.
I was at some tournaments where I tapped for a kid, and they were upset.
Oh yeah.
Someone else didn't tap for them, and another person walked out of there with a sling. Right, and
I've yelled at a couple of my kids. I'm hard on my kids,
right.
You know that, right? And if they complain when the referee taps them, I go, "You got in that position. That's your fault. That's not, I don't want you to go home." We had an instance where a referee wasn't vigilant on it, and one kid really hurt his arm. Man, I had one of my parents come. I found out after. I didn't see it because I would have managed it if it was done in front of me. But the parent came up, jumped over the fence. He was yelling, I'm going to sue you, and all this kind of stuff. I looked at the replay, and I'm like, okay, Dad, you were kind of wrong to jump over, but I get it. Like, that was really, really bad. Like, the referee was kind of looking around, like, and the kid's arm is like, bent backwards, right? So,
no.
You were always there. So all the big matches, they made sure that you were the head ref of that, and it was always again always well managed. And you were my mentor as well when I dabbled in
You were good,
refereeing.
brother.
Oh, that was tough, man. That was really I did not like because I have anger issues. I did not like people yelling at me, right? You know, especially decorated jiu-jitsu coaches, like just freaking screaming at me, and I'm just
and
like,
people you respect, right? Like
people I respect, and in my head I'm saying, "F you, you fucking who the fuck do you think you're talking to?" Like,
right.
But you always handle it like this, and I'm like, I gotta turn around right now, like. You know, they might be able to kick my ass, but you know, I'm gonna drop some F-bombs along the way.
Yeah.
Also,
they're gonna have to earn that ass kicking because I'm sweating.
Yeah. I'm not going down easy. That's for sure.
Like, we're gonna fight. Like,
we're fighting.
We're gonna fight. Right. And so,
and that was the culture in our gym. Like, not culture. We didn't fight. We never had any fights in our gym. But when it got rough, okay, here we go. You know,
if that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. Right?
If that's what we're doing, like, and
that's like, I mean, I don't know. I got to be careful how I say this. Trying to be politically. We call it political acuity in my line of work.
Okay.
Like when I got into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I got into it because of UFC 1, right?
Yeah.
So I knew it was a fighting art. And, you know, people currently, they comment to be like, oh, you know, Jason, you're so nice. You know, you're such a nice person. Like, you're so friendly.
I've met the animal, by the way. He's not always nice. So.
I said, yeah, I can afford to be nice. Because when it's time to not be nice, I got jiu-jitsu. Right? Yeah. So, like, for me, I think our generation got into this art understanding it's a fighting art. And understanding that we're not looking for problems. But 4 to 5 times a week, I have people trying to choke me and break my arm. And so I'm okay if a physical problem arises because I can be nice to you. I can choose to be nice to you. I can choose to walk away from stuff. Because when the time comes where I cannot choose to walk away, it's going down. Yeah. You know, one of the best quotes I've heard was from Ralph Gracie. And I love Ralph because him and Henzo
a character.
They're psychopaths, but they're terrific people, right? Because, you know, these guys bred monsters. Like, their gyms bred monsters. And Ralph said, you know, you do jiu-jitsu because one day someone's going to try to take something away from you, and you're going to have to choke that person unconscious. Not every day. One day.
Nope. One day. It just takes once.
I can afford to be nice and cordial and respectful because I've always wanted that. I always want to do that. That's how I treat people like I want to be treated, right? I can smile with you. You can disagree. We can agree to disagree. We can both walk away. Because if you don't want to walk away from me and you want to make it something physical, I am very comfortable with it getting that way, right? Because that's why we do jiu-jitsu. We do jiu-jitsu to have choices, right? I don't want to take this in any kind of dark way, but it's not. But I'm saying,
well, we did more than jiu-jitsu. So you also dabbled in boxing.
Yes.
You've done boxing. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but you've dabbled. I know you've had a couple of charity matches.
Yeah.
We always loved that about you. That was really cool. We did MMA at our gym. You know, so we've learned the art. The way jiu-jitsu was intended, right? As a sport and self defense. We didn't really call it self defense. We were just fighting, right?
Yes, that's what it was.
That's what it was for the longest time. Like there's no sport versus self defense, you know. And the formal self defense stuff, I would be like, oh Christ, really? Is that what we're doing right now? Like, you know, as opposed to no, we're fighting. Which is a lot of that old school, the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu that we saw on the camera, not what they're trying to sell us, right?
Right.
Like again, I will forever be a Henzo huge Henzo fan. Like
Oh
Henzo,
my God.
if I could pick my demigod, it would be Henzo and Danaher, right? You
Yeah.
know,
No.
those are. But Henzo is just like the biggest character and ready
I
to drop.
I love Henzo
Yeah.
because like if you most pictures you see of Henzo, he's smiling.
He doesn't get
Most
enough
of-
credit
oh my
for
gosh, that
how
guy's
he has influenced jiu-jitsu in jiu-jitsu period. Like
yes.
he should be on the Mount Rushmore of
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu. When you look
Yeah.
at the team that he's created, the people that
Yes.
spawn off of what he's done, yeah, to
And
me,
people got to
Enzo's,
remember when you talk about Hodger, right? Anytime you saw Hodger's highlight moments, there's probably Henzo behind him coaching him. Do you know what I mean? And not to take away anything from Hodger. Hodger, obviously, Hodger's
one of the greatest.
one name needed. Hodger, just like Hickson. Hickson only one name needed. But Henzo was one of those people one name needed because
Yeah.
the amount he did for jiu-jitsu in North America and worldwide, like he's in a. I don't know him personally.
The Abu Dhabi influence as well, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
don't forget, like he
Yeah.
really.
Yes. Yes.
He
And he put
really
his body on the line, right? He put
Oh.
his body on the line.
Man, he fought some big guys. Like
He fought whoever they put in front of him, he fought
yeah,
them.
he fought him.
Right?
Yeah,
And so like that it, like to me, when I think of jiu-jitsu, I think of that. Like you see Henzo with the gi on, you see Henzo with the Speedos and the MMA gloves on. Like to me, that's when I came to jiu-jitsu, that is what I was thinking about.
that's me too.
I
Yeah,
know that we wear the gi and we do the no gi and like I know this the modern age right now, so we don't remember. And some people just were never introduced to some of these people. But like when I think jujitsu, I think Henzo in Japan walking up to the stage, right? Henzo isn't some impressive athletic physique guy. He's just like a regular looking dude, and he went up in there and he kicked butt.
yeah.
Right? I remember when he fought Sakuraba, and Sakuraba rearranged his elbow, and he just popped it back in place and smiled and pointed at the elbow, hugged Sakuraba, went back to his dressing room. And I'm like, to me, that's what jiu-jitsu is.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what it is. Like, that's what I'm trying to embody even when I'm teaching primarily in the gi now, right? But to me, like, he's the kind of person where you go into his house at nighttime when you're not invited, you're not walking out of there without some EMS support, right? Like, during the daytime, he'll smile with you, come on into the club. You do the wrong thing with Henzo. Henzo's like, nah, we're not playing
He'll call you out. He'll call you out.
like that.
You remember that there's a video clip of him, I forget who was training MMA, and he's sitting on the side and going, "That's crap. What are you doing?
Yes, that's his cousin.
That's his cousin." And it's like, what's that stupid stuff right there? Why you? And it was just brutally honest.
Yes, we need that.
Oh, 100%. I think I have parents that please, I'm not equating myself to Henzo. I'm like a mere peasant, but I'm hard on the kids and the class, and I'll say that's crap. You all look awful right now. Get back in the middle so we can. This is how you hold it, and I'm emphasizing because they're not paying attention to the detail, right? They're missing. They're doing everything but what they're supposed to be really focused in on, and that's what I loved about Henzo is when you see him on tape doing a demonstration or picking on somebody's. It was always about that little detail. The hip is up here. This is pushing here. Like it was so specific, and it was beautiful.
Yeah, and he gave birth to all those guys. The Danaher Death Squad was built
Danaher Death Squad
in his gym, right? Danaher was.
You can say now B Team. Now I think everybody was influenced by the Danaher Death Squad.
All of them. Right?
Yeah.
That's where it all started for a lot of those guys. But Pat, I like the fact you're so invested in your students and you're so invested in the younger generation that you're doing what we all grew up understanding coaches to do.
Trying.
Right? Like,
and my wrestling coach too, because Mr. Bradbury used to scream at me all the time.
see, but look, you remember him, right?
Yeah.
How much
Yeah.
influence did that have in your life? Like, we have to remember that when the kids we're working with now become adults, they're going to meet a boss who's going to demand a certain level of excellence from them, and who might not be compromising. Because I think in over the last 10 to 15 years, we've seen people kind of work and compromise and like, oh, we can't talk to people that way anymore, and we can't be like. But there's some people who have that level of excellence that they don't care about your feelings. And
Yeah.
so the quicker our kids become aware that those people exist, and the quicker we prepare our kids to meet a certain standard, the better for them in life. Right? When you tell a kid, like, when you make things hard for kids and for adults, like, we're probably going to get into this in terms of grading and lifelong, but when you make things hard for kids and people, you're not doing it to punish them. You're doing it actually to prepare them for what you know is out there. Right? So, yeah, man, I like the fact you're doing that. I like the fact you're just like, hey, no, that's wrong. Like, get over here. Let me show you how to do this. Like, what's wrong with that? Like, parents, you should be happy someone is so invested in your kid.
Most are. There's a couple of soft ones, but I think most parents now are realizing the benefit of that type of teaching. We talked about how active you were, how much you trained, and you were a referee. You were a referee at every single tournament. You were competing.
Yeah.
Then life happened.
Yes, sir.
How many beautiful girls do you have? I know the answer. I want you to tell the people. You have 3 beautiful girls.
3 daughters, 1 dog, 4 guns.
Do you hunt?
Huh? No.
Do you hunt?
No.
Just for Okay.
I took up target shooting back like 07, but even that, like, there's no time for it.
well, there's no time for it. So, and along the way, man, I think you did it during COVID. Like, didn't you open your own gym?
Right before.
Before COVID, folks. Like, yeah.
Ending of 2018, that opened. And, 2019, the ball
Elemental Jiu-Jitsu,
the ball's starting to roll. We had, like, no adults, it was all kids. So I had like 25 kids. It was great. I was starting to I felt momentum going. So that was like 2019. And then March 2020, blow up. It fell apart, right? It was a great experience. It continues to be because of what I really saw, like, this is something I got it. This is part of who I am. Right? And even then, like, we tried it, everything, the online teaching. That was difficult, right?
I gave up on it.
Yeah.
And then when we had to slowly reopen with the 6 feet space, and
I tried that too.
It just. So how have things been going with the gym now?
Better. Like, I had barely any adults. And then pretty much as COVID came to an end, I had more adults. I'm at about 50-something students now, which is small, but my space is small. I really just am thankful to have survived and still want to teach jiu-jitsu. So I opened this space with a recreational jiu-jitsu practitioner in mind. I opened a space with something that I could afford. I knew, like, hey, I have a lease. So if I don't have any students, I can still afford to pay for this space without. Yeah,
because you're still working. You're still working your.
I still have my full-time job, right? I still have my full-time job. It has benefits and a pension, so I'm not letting go.
Oh no, you have a great job, so I wouldn't leave that. And I had to go through the same too. I was like, I was at the bank for over 20 years, so I'm not going anywhere. Even though.
No.
So you have again a beautiful family.
Yes.
3 girls.
3 girls.
You have
wife,
a regular job. Lovely wife.
Yeah.
And a gym.
and a gym.
How do you make time for training? How do you make time
Brother.
for...
So I've had to come to grips with the fact that this phase of my jiu-jitsu experience, it's really about developing of the next generation and my students, right? Whenever I can, I try to get to Omar's, which is a lot less than I'd like to, because, my kids are all involved in athletics that have nothing to do with jiu-jitsu. I got a dad.
Yeah, we were just talking about them at a soccer tournament, right? So they're doing their own thing.
They're doing their own thing. That has nothing to do with jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
I tried to get them involved, but the pull of these other activities is greater. And I have a kids program now, and I'm enjoying pouring into those kids. I have some adults I work with now, range in age from a lot of older people, so 19-ish to 65, right? Great group of people. It's not hard to get up and come train them. I've had to also make the shift because Pat, me, I'm a pressure, crush all, leave dust.
I know, I felt it.
Type of jiu-jitsu player. It's made me change my approach to jiu-jitsu in the sense of you gotta let people work. You also have to think about what's beneficial for their game and learn the different guards that are out there. Right now we're focused a lot on open guard. And I played only certain kinds of open guard, and now I'm teaching my students reverse de la hiva, integrating that with single X and X and spider guard and lapel, and we didn't really come up on that because we had different expectations for our guard work. Right?
Well, I think, and we were in the same boat there. Although our guards were different,
yes.
We were focused on ourselves. And although we did teach on the side, and you to be a good practitioner, you gotta know a little bit about everything. But we didn't own the club, so
no,
we were focused on our own game so that we can win that next tournament.
Right. Very streamlined, very focused, right?
Yeah.
And so now the transition has been, okay, Jason,
gotta learn everything.
You gotta learn everything, and you gotta be able to teach everything, and you gotta be able to show people how to do things. And you also have to teach people how to learn on their own. So
right. Oh, good point.
For us, right?
Well, that's the point of my whole channel.
Right.
It's to give people, yeah.
So now I see different from our generation compared to now. I think that you and I and the people who came up in our time, we were almost self-starters. I don't know about you, but the best part of class wasn't learning the technique. The best part of class was rolling after. Right?
Sparring. It still is.
That's what we wanted. Even when you and Western started drilling, I was like, that's boring. Who wants to do that? Right?
I hate drilling.
Yeah.
I still hate it to this day because
Yeah.
the philosophy, and I didn't understand it. I couldn't put I couldn't put words to it, and maybe we must have got it coming up. I didn't get it from I didn't invent it. So a lot of clubs do focus a lot on drilling. I think what we kind of came up and did a lot of, maybe it is because we're a lot of self-starting, but I drilled while I was rolling, if that makes any sense. It was always how can I get to the spot that I'm working on?
Yes.
Over and over and over and over again.
And that's what I'm trying to pass on to, especially for recreational grapplers, right? Are they in the gym more than 2 to 3 times a week? No.
They're not.
Their lifestyles can't give them the time frame to be in the gym more than that, if they're even in beyond 3 times a week. And so what's the best way to maximize your time? Situational sparring and sparring. Right. And so we did that. We evolved into that. And I think it made our techniques battle tested. Right. It taught us how to deal with the pressure of when things are not working, how to problem solve on the fly. And so, this is.
I think the other thing that it does is also the way you look at sparring, because we've had to deal with such a variety of people. I think my greatest skill is not my leg locks, not my guard, is my defense. Just because it didn't matter. I rolled with you. You were one of my main partners when we rolled at lunchtime together, and
you kept me at bay.
My defense was solid, right? It still
solid.
is. I don't want to tap. Like, that's the thing, right? You catch me, that's great. But my goal was always, I'm gonna make it as difficult as possible for you to corner me.
That's jiu-jitsu,
to tap me. That's jiu-jitsu.
That's jiu-jitsu.
Right?
Jiu-jitsu,
People don't. They're always going, oh, I got to get to the fancy guard. I got to get to this. I got to get. No, man. You got to be able to be in bad positions and accept it and turn it into a positive position, right?
Yes. Yes, 100%. 100%. So that's what I'm trying to pass on.
And that's important for the older grapplers, though, right, Prof?
Yeah.
It's not about winning the matches, because as a 45, 50-year-old practitioner, man, we get that kid that's 21. Jesus, in my gym, 16 years old, I got Pan Am champions.
Right.
I as a black belt, sometimes I'm just happy to survive.
Yes.
Right. So I'm going in there, and it's not necessarily about winning, because that kid's training 5-6 days a week, sometimes 2-3 times a day. Right. With the weights and all that kind of stuff. And like you said, I may only get there 2-3 times a week. 3 times, oh boy, that was a good week.
It's a good week. No, I think for me, the transition for me in terms of my jiu-jitsu with managing life, I went to, as a purple belt, I went to Abu Dhabi Pro Trials in Montreal. So I was a purple belt. And that trial, we had, in the purple belt division, we had a bunch of guys, but we had some Lloyd Irvin guys. At the time, Keenan Cornelius was there, right?
Yeah.
So we went down, a contingent of us went down there. Randy was there, right? Myself, Arthur was there too. He did really well in the blue belt division. And so I remember, because I got blown out first round. I got like 10-2. Just wiped right out the floor. Yeah. Right? And I went over to one of the Lloyd Irvin guys. One of the guys was doing the coaching. Because JT Torres was there too. He had a great match with Thomas Beach. Rest in peace.
Oh, wow.
All right. And I remember I spoke to this guy. His name was Jimmy. Some people might know him from back in the day. Really good competitor in the gi. And I said, I heard you guys train like twice a day, 6 days a week. He's like, yeah, sometimes 3 times a day.
Wow.
I said, how the hell do you guys do that? Like, he goes, bro, that's what we do. He goes, that's how we don't work. We don't go to school. We train jiu-jitsu 6 times a day. And so I was speaking to some of the other competitors who came from the US, and they asked me, how much do I train? I go, yeah, maybe 3-4 days out of the week. They looked at, these are purple belt competitors. They say, hey, Jason, man. They're like, bro, we are training 6 days a week, sometimes twice a day. And I said, oh man, I can't, like, I just don't have the time. Like, I work from 8:30 to 4:30, right? I have kids, so like, how, I can't match their work rate. And so it's like, okay, I'm just going to have to maximize the time I can. Maybe I can add another day of training in, right? I used to go to Action Reaction, had lunchtime classes, right? And it was just like a big open. Everybody from the city used to come in, right? And so I would say, let me get in there a couple times a week. Maybe I can sneak in, once or twice a week from work. I can kind of go on my lunch break and get a roll. But really and truly, I had to come to the acceptance that, you know what, man? Like, I cannot keep up with the volume of work of professional jiu-jitsu practitioners. And so I had to now make that decision. You know what? I'm going to get as good as I can with the 4 to 5 times a week I can train. And I'm going to have to be satisfied with that, because the cost of going into a jiu-jitsu competitor lifestyle, it's too great. I can't. I'd be doing a disservice to my family. I'd be doing a disservice even to, like, myself. because you quit your job, you go into that lifestyle, you get sick, you get injured.
Yep.
Now you have
It's
nothing.
done. Yeah.
It's done, right? Now you got to go find another job, right? Maybe even lose a relationship because some people have lost relationships for jujitsu.
Yes. It happens a lot,
It
man, because of
happens.
that dedication that you have to put into it
Yeah,
to get to that level.
yeah. So I had to put jujitsu in its place in my life, right? Um, sometimes you think back, like, I wonder if I just would have given it a chance. Those thoughts come fleeting. They don't stay long in my head because I look at my life and I look at how things turned out, and I'm happy
I just
with.
look at my wife and I look at my kids and I say I've
That's
made the
it.
right decision.
I
It,
made
it
the right
is,
decision, man.
could I have? I think some of the sacrifice that I personally made was, could I have performed better at work or went for a different job to make
Yeah.
more money? And
Mhm.
I did sacrifice
Yes, you did.
from that perspective.
Hmm.
But at the same time, hey, the kids are healthy. They're
Right.
everyone's wifey's happy for the most
Yeah.
part,
Yeah.
and I personally fulfilled my dream of owning a gym.
Yes.
Now I'm like, did it, done it, and now I'm
Yeah.
in my 50s. I just like cruising into the gym and being the old guy that's been around.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And that's okay too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, 100%. Because I'm eventually probably gonna have to go to that direction too, right? There
Yeah.
comes a period of time, the
How dare
phase.
you? You're not there yet. What's wrong with
No.
you? Right?
Listen, you still got your hair, okay? You have
Look at that, eh?
gone. Looking great. Looking great.
Thank
But
you, brother.
no, listen, man.
Do you so what further adjustments, like what's sort of on the horizon for you? Just keep developing your students,
Yeah.
or you're not that far ahead, you're just happy to keep training, like you look in great shape.
Thank you. I'm trying to Miss
I saw
Donut.
you working with Ashton for a little while, working on
Yes, yeah.
some physical
Shout out to
fitness
Ashton.
side.
Again, even with that, like he was taking some time with me during the daytime, and then my job shifted, and so it's like I can't get down there, right?
Mm.
And Ashton, loved me, loved the intensity. He was taking me through the workouts. I loved it, but then you have to make these choices, like like work, life, all this stuff, right? So for me right now, the if I can do jujitsu into my 60s, I'm winning. Right. As a bigger person too, I've had to really make some health choices and really now focus on getting my weight down. Not necessarily because I want to have abs, but more for longevity. Right. It's being like 240 is great when you're a top pressure player, right? But overall, for your health, just being a bigger human is probably not the best thing if you want longevity overall. And so my focus now is getting my weight down and being able to continue to do jujitsu as long as possible.
What does that look like?
Oh, what that looks
How
like
are
is,
you doing that with such limited time and
brother,
the
it's for me. It's always been the diet, right? It's
Mhm.
always been. I lift occasionally, but I was never a big fan of resistance training for resistance training's sake. If it was for jujitsu, I would do it. And so my focus now is just playing with my diet, finding the right combinations of food that work well with me, leave me satisfied, leave me not having the carb craving addicts kind of stuff.
you big on proteins, or what's
Oh yeah,
your
yeah.
yeah.
I've made a shift in terms of I've gone down to like 2 meals a day. That seems to work well for me. I don't really
Like an
miss that
intermittent
thing.
fasting kind of approach, or
I've done that too. I've done that.
yeah.
So now I've kind of spaced my meals. I did like a genetic test. So I took when you do like the 23andMe.
Yeah.
So I took the information. I went to
That's a government conspiracy. They want your DNA so they can clone you.
listen, man.
I'm
If
kidding.
you still want to clone me, go ahead. Bro.
An
Well,
army of Professor Jasons.
trust me. Just let me know when they're coming.
Sorry, I apologize. You did the test.
No,
Would
no,
you
I
learn
didn't.
from that?
So I learned kind of like people with my genetic makeup have certain propensities, or even certain things that I should avoid and try to like eat a certain way. I have certain, as a person of color, as a black person, high blood pressure is something that's genetically there. So I'm trying to make sure I manage that. I'm trying to make sure that I'm getting the right amount of protein. And so these are things I'm more emphasizing that than I am the amount of exercise I get per week. Because if you're doing jiu-jitsu, if you're getting to roll like 3-4 times a week, you're probably getting all the exercise you really need.
Yes.
Right?
My doctors have been impressed. So with my illnesses and that, they're like, you're like a specimen for your age. I go, I don't feel like a specimen. I feel broken every day.
Listen, man, brother, you're still doing it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, that to me is the goal, right? To be able to still do jiu-jitsu into your 50s, into your 60s. I have a student here who's like 60 something years old, and he does not shy away from rolling with anybody. We got a couple of big boys in here, right? Like, I'm talking like 250 plus, and he's like, let's go. Right? Like, he manages.
So what do you tell him though to kind of manage himself though in that situation? Because again, you can't just come in, balls to the wall kind of thing when you're in your 40s. 40s. Let's be realistic here, especially if you're coming in as a white belt or blue belt. What would you say to somebody just starting out at that age group?
First thing I'd say to people is listen to your body. First thing. You are a 40-year-old person. I am an instructor in jiu-jitsu. If I say, hey, try this, and you're like, I can't do that right now. I respect the fact that you know your body. I don't know your body. So listen to your body. Rest as much as you can, right? And then
I keep telling my wife that, but she doesn't believe me. So I go, paint the. When are you going to paint the room? I need to rest. Rest is so important.
They don't believe me. As soon as today's a holiday, as soon as I get home, there's probably a list of things I'm supposed to be doing.
Oh, dude, I painted the house. Like, I've got paint all over. I used it as an example. I just finished. I called my dad, 78 years old. I go, you're helping me paint, right?
Wow.
We've been painting all weekend. So, and I'm like, today I was like, I'm doing a podcast today.
Yes.
This is what we're doing.
This is work.
This is work. Well, I love this. This is not work. I get to talk to my brother. This is great. I'm catching up. I can't wait to train with you again.
Yes, man. Go easy on me.
Well, let's talk offline, and
yes,
you take it easy on me, brother. So back to that older grappler, whether female and male, and I tell them both the same thing. I like what you're saying. So really listen to your body, especially in the early days. Probably don't overtrain.
No.
You do get excited about it, but I don't know. I always warn them. I go, your body will hurt. So you're going to have to get used to using muscles you didn't even think that were supposed to be used.
Yes.
And get ready for them to be sore the rest of your life.
Yes. Yes. That's the trade-off, right? Skill for pain. Right?
It's not that bad at the end of the day. You know what feels worse? You know what feels worse? When we're on that regular training regimen 2-3 times a week, whatever it is when you stop.
Yes.
I find that hurts more. When your body's like, hey, what's going on here? Why aren't you moving?
Feedback. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, right now, like I said, I'm very impressed with my older grapplers. I always encourage people, if you can only get in once a week, I might be different than other people, but if you can only get in one day in the week, get in on a day where you can do a little bit of sparring, even if it's 2 or 3 rounds.
Yeah.
That, what's that, 15, maybe 20 minutes? That's more beneficial than you doing an hour of drilling. I
get your heart is like going.
Yes. And it's the application. This is a fighting art. This is not kata, right? I know that, I know that we're living in a day and age where people think that there's hacks to improvement. Oh, the jiu-jitsu hack is you do 10,000 repetitions or something, you're an expert at it. Nah. Because, as Bruce Lee said, I fear the man who's practiced the one kick 1,000 times than the man who's practiced 10,000 kicks, right? But you got to do this under pressure. Like, you have to have somebody resisting you for you to figure out, does this thing work? And I'm a believer that if you have to say, like, I only got half an hour, right? Go in and give 15 minutes to rolling and maybe 15 minutes to watching people roll. If that's all you got, that's all you got, right? Ideally, you want to get in 2 to 3 times a week.
Ideally.
As a recreational person, yes.
Yeah.
If you're a competitor, like we
that's
talked
different.
about before, you know, like I had to come to the realization that I cannot put up the volume that a purple belt and up competitor needs to put in. I can't do that, right? But if you're recreational, if you can get in 2 to 3 times a week, heck, if you can get in 4 times a week, you're already beating 98% of the people that are out there doing jiu-jitsu, and you're already beating 100% of the people that are not doing jiu-jitsu, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, I think that's you. Those are the sacrifices you have to make, is to get on the mat and do something on the mat with some level of resistance. It doesn't have to be balls to the wall. It can be situational sparring, which I think is very beneficial, even if you're dealing with injuries. And it can be with a good training partner. And a lot of times people think good training partners are people that just let you do stuff. No, they're giving you feedback. Like,
yeah,
you know, they're presenting.
They're giving you the resistance that you need.
Resistance.
Yeah,
you need the resistance. You need the feedback, because that's what you learn. So yeah, man, if you can find even one training partner, it doesn't have to be the best person in the gym, just somebody to give you feedback, and the two of you guys can or two of you ladies can kind of talk and work things out. That's what you need, man. Jiu-jitsu is meant to be done with people.
I often say that when I do all the warm-ups in the evening classes, right? So getting folks ready for our main professor, who is absolutely amazing, by the way. James is incredible. But I often tell people as I'm warming them up and as I'm making them drill, I like some of that ecological stuff. I've been working on using that. So it's a little bit more intensity, task-based. But I always add a note and I say, by the way, talk to your partner. Let them know if they're doing it good or bad, right? Give them feedback. That feedback, and it's weird. I was training with a white belt in no-gi last week, and he actually asked me, "Are you okay with training with him?" I go, "This is great. I love training with you." You know, and I even asked him. We were doing a guard pass, and I saw, how'd that feel? Did that feel okay? It was a new guard pass for me too, right? So I'm learning. I'm a freaking black, 20 years doing this, right? Yeah. And I'm like, how'd that feel? And he looked at me like, why are you asking me, right? No, I go, did it feel like you could do something? And, you know, he gave me the feedback, but that's that. I'm just used to that conversation. I want to know what that initial reaction is. And again, the trusted partners, like, yeah, they're going to give you the reaction. I'm an old guy. So if you ask me, my opinion, I end up talking too much. So that's one thing I need to manage.
But Pat, man, like, listen, for you to do something for 20 years, for you to like having conversation with people, that means you're invested. Like,
oh yeah,
really and truly, you are a benefit to that club because of what you bring, right? If anytime we all get in the same room together, you know, it's worth it to have catch up conversations and talk.
100%.
Right? The rolling is important too, right?
Yeah.
But like, we've sweated at each other enough to know, like, hey, the conversation is just as important as the sweat.
Yep.
Right? Like, whenever I get a chance to see Westner, it's like, this is great. Like, you know, Westner taps me and I'm just like, wow, yeah, remember the time that, and the conversation is like, that's what keeps me doing this thing, right? Like,
and just to keep helping the audience out with there's a mental state. So we talked about the physicality. We talked about the consistency and trying to show up. I think the mental side, when you fall in love with jiu-jitsu, you know, again, it helps when you get to the gym and you just sort of, your mind gets away from all your problems. And I think jiu-jitsu is even more important these days with mental health
Yes.
declining the way it has, and I'm not sure what the hell's going on. I'm not sure if it's the technology, additional stresses. I'm not sure what it is. So I tell people in my audience, like, jiu-jitsu is like your mental health break as well, because when you
Yep.
walk into the gym, the only thing matters is jiu-jitsu. But you can bring that home as well, and keep the training going from a mental perspective. And that's when you get a minute, you can just look at your phone or your TV or YouTube, and you can watch a match.
Yeah.
Or you can watch one of those quick instructional kind of things, and
Yeah.
just say, oh, okay, well, let me write that down,
Yeah.
and see if I can try that when I get back to the gym. Do you find yourself still looking up a lot of jiu-jitsu videos?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I
are you as
got
bad as
BJJ fanatics. I got Flow Grappling on the television here. Um, I watch it. I watch it because it's just learning. It's good to know, right? Like I was before a black belt. I think I can still find them. I had journals, right? I had like every time Pat caught me in something, I wrote it down in a book, and I was like, I'm getting my lick back, like. So I journaled, wrote stuff down, journaled my feelings, journaled like my expectations, because like this thing was important to me, right? And so
I still have
even
my books as well.
yeah, right. I think I tell my students that all the time. I'm like, hey, even if it's just give yourself voice notes, like these things are important because you're cataloging your progress through something that's difficult. And the beautiful thing about jujitsu, and I think people sometimes forget this, you're surrendering yourself to be judged by somebody else. You're surrendering to that process. We live in a world that people are encouraged to the idea that nobody can judge what I'm doing as good or bad. Okay? But you are, hopefully paying your mat fees, but paying a fee to go to somebody who has more experience than you in a particular activity, and you're allowing yourself to be critiqued and judged by them. That's a humbling thing, right? And so your investment, the more you invest in that process, I think the better of a person you become, right? Because for you to coach, you need to be coachable. For you to lead, you need to be someone who can follow. And I think that the process of jiu-jitsu experience, I would say more so than even my judo experience, because I've been in this longer, right? I was very invested in getting good at judo, right? But I was even more invested in getting good at jiu-jitsu because it takes longer, right? I think it's a beautiful thing to surrender yourself to the process of that and catalog looking back to what you thought was impossible to do is now possible, right? So the better and the more you're invested in the process, the more videos you watch. Like, that's important. Learning
Yeah,
is important.
we didn't have many videos back in the
No,
day. It was there was
no.
nothing available. I still somewhere I still have my Marcello Garcia
Yeah.
VHS tape, and what was the guy out of Vancouver? I don't
Oh,
like him
Craig.
anymore.
Um,
I forget his name.
yes, yes. I have some of his videos too.
Yeah, I loved him
Yeah.
back then, but he kind of went a little crazy. So it's not a But there's
Stephen.
yeah, Stefan, Cass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and journaling back then was huge. I'm
Yeah.
gonna say a name that people don't know out there, but there's only one person I see journaling in our club right now. It's a 57 year old gentleman, the only person journaling on a consistent basis.
Right.
You might know him. His name is Paul Ganley.
Got it.
It's a guy we trained with, like,
Yes, a long
for
time.
years ago. But it shows the difference in the culture. I don't see. I think more people should do it, and it doesn't necessarily have to be journaling your feel. Mine wasn't about that. It was more when I look at my old notes. First of all, I can hardly understand them, but It was more breakdowns of moves. Because I'm so anal with the details. So
Mm-hmm.
I would have the main movements, and then I would break it down with, the details of a grip, or the details of a this, or try this, or
Mm-hmm.
try this. Which way am I? And I would draw like arrows on,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
which way I should try to move my balance. And I did something I should do a video on. I haven't done it in a while, but I tell a lot of white belts, especially eager blue belts. Blue belts is interesting because they have they've hung around long enough where they have a good sense of what jiu-jitsu is, and
Yes.
they're starting to get good at it. They understand all the positions. And then I tell them to mind map. And
Mm-hmm.
I go, start mind mapping your A game, your B
Right.
game, and
Right.
start identifying what could go wrong,
Right.
and what areas do you need to fill in. And I have these books of endless mind maps of, just me rediscovering and trying to improve my game. I know there's a lot of if you go on Amazon, man, I wish I had the name. There's a gentleman that a good friend. I can't remember the name of the product, but there are some good journaling templates, notebooks that
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
available on Amazon that kind of have it all squared out that you could just fill it in,
Mm-hmm.
or you get a blank book and you just
Dollar store, bro.
take some take some
Dollar
notes.
store.
And come in with the plan.
Yes.
Again, if you're a white belt, you just show up. Please don't worry about nothing. Show up.
Mm-hmm.
Show up and learn. You've given some
Mm-hmm.
great advice on that. But once you start getting into blue belt, you become a student,
Yes.
a real student, and do your research, and it will optimize your training to the next level.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. So,
Yeah.
I mean, now as an instructor and helping people plan for the progression through the belt system, you know, I think our experience progressing through the belts is a little different, right? Especially since there was a competitive component that we set goals in. And so oftentimes when we were coming up, people wanted to progress through belt levels so they can go to the next level of competition, right? So most people who were in blue were like, "Hey, I'm hitting some of my marks here in blue. I really want to see what that purple belt level is. I really want to see that brown belt level. Like I wanna move." So it wasn't even a thing of like I deserve a belt. It's more like, I wanna try that belt. Like I want to see what it's like. I want to feel that pressure. We also had less practitioners back then, so
Yeah.
running into a brown belt was like maybe that's the only time you saw him was at a competition, right? So how do you feel in terms of when you're moving your students along in terms of the progression for like grading, right? Because I know for me, I think it's so subjective depending on the instructor, right? Oftentimes, I mean, some people have like know these certain moves, and then once you know those, that's the beginning of me thinking, okay, we can start to talk about progression. Others are like, you beat, if you're tapping out all these people, move on, right? Like
Yep.
we don't need you kind of just hanging out here. So
I, 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 I'll take a little bit of our history,
yes,
where both of our history is belts were not handed out like candy.
no, no,
We had to bleed, sweat,
yes,
tears, whatever the,
yeah,
and so you knew when you got a belt. You really earned it. I remember in the early days we had in-house tournaments for a blue belt, and
yeah,
I got to the finals twice,
yeah,
and I lost.
yeah,
It was heartbreaking, but it made me that much stronger. So I think you alluded to it, and I want your philosophy as well. It's everyone's on their own journey.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to look at a competitive 20-year-old the same way I'm looking at the 40-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Two completely different journeys. I'm such an asshole that I will probably be way harder on the 20 something.
Makes
Because
sense.
it'll be more like, I won't say it to their face. In my head, I'm like, don't go talk to me till you've done a few tournaments and start placing on a regular basis.
Yeah.
If you could place on a regular basis because you want to be a competitor, then
Yes.
we can talk. Then you got some of the younger ones that are, not competitors. No, so I'll look at them. Well, how do you do in the gym? Are you showing up
Right.
on a regular basis? But I still, at the younger generation, I still expect a certain performance based
Yeah.
level.
Yeah.
Then for the older generation, it really comes down to their personal journey
Mm-hmm.
until they are up for brown belt.
Mm-hmm.
So we could, get away with, yeah, they're very knowledgeable and they're improving and they're showing signs. But if at a purple belt you're not demonstrating a sort of next level to your game of dominance, like a
Mm-hmm.
white belt just can't come in and throw you around. If you're
Right.
going for a brown belt, you better be able to handle the situation, or
Yeah.
you're not going to get a brown belt in our club.
Right.
Sorry, we're a little bit strict on that, and
Yeah. Yeah. No. No. That's
it's
understandable.
happened a few times. The other cool thing that we have, because we're spoiled with having a larger number of black belts, we also have a committee. So,
Ah.
so what we do is we have a WhatsApp group, and we kind of put all the names out there of who you propose should be promoted, and everyone has to say yay or nay. And
Nice.
then the nays become interesting discussion,
Yeah.
but normally for the last 3-4 years we've been doing it. We've been pretty much a
Spot on.
hundred percent all on the same page, and broke a
Yeah.
few hearts along the way.
Mm-hmm.
So very strict on that. I am even stricter. This could get me in trouble. I'm even stricter with kids.
Mm.
I don't want to hold back a promotion from white belt to gray belt,
Mm-hmm.
but I have what I call a core base of fundamentals.
Yes.
And if you cannot perform the minimal core base of fundamentals, I even tell them, I don't know if parents get mad or not. I'll look at them and I'll say, you're not even going to smell a gray belt if you can't even do the armbar the way I ask you to do the armbar.
Right.
And if
Right.
you're skipping the steps to get there and you're just flopping over, I've said it to a kid the other day. I said, you're expecting a gray belt and that's what you're doing? I go, how many times do I need to show you that move? What's weird is when I give him shit like that, and people say, well, why aren't you helping? I go, watch. I give
Yeah.
him
Yeah.
shit,
Yeah.
watch, and I say, you can't do it. You'll never get a gray. Magically, they can do the technique perfectly
Yes.
one
Yeah.
minute later.
Yes. Yeah.
Ah, so you do know how to do the technique.
Right. Right.
You just chose to be lazy,
Right.
which and
Yeah.
so, and once they get to gray belt, because gray belt is such a long journey for a child, right? It's
Yes.
gray white all the way to gray
Yeah.
black
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
four
Yeah.
stripes, right?
Right.
I want them to be prepared for that freaking shock of when they do that tournament and they face a gray black belt with four stripes,
Right.
ready for that colored belt. Like, I
Right.
don't want
Right.
them to be totally,
Yeah. Out to lunch. And just like,
out
what
to
is
lunch.
that?
Exactly. So I'm strict and fair, just like the lineage that we come from. What are your thoughts? Have you changed, or
So
have you
I think
shifted?
it's interesting for me, right? Because I'm dealing primarily with. I would say there's only one person that's training with me right now that's I would consider to be a competitor. You know him. And so his standard is high. Even from his self standard is high.
Right.
Right? And so everyone else I consider to be pretty much recreational, right? And so, like you said, we came from a tradition where nothing was given, it was all earned. Like, we didn't even really care about stripes, right? Like, it was kind of like,
no.
Okay, right? And, like, even when we started, like, people weren't even wearing the gi prop. It was like a white jacket, green pants, jogging pants.
Yeah, we didn't even care.
Gi pants and a sweatshirt. Like, we were not traditional in the beginning. And so it was about fighting and fighting prowess and who did you tap and, how many times did you tap? How many times did you tap that person? And so, we tried to kill each other in love. It's like being all brothers, right? Like,
yep. It was so, really
because you and I kind of progressed almost at the same.
The tougher we were, the more the love in the room,
right? Right, and it's kind of like, damn it, Randy got out of that armbar I put him in. I got to work on that armbar.
Like, he bridged out of that again.
Like he cartwheeled right over me. Damn it, Randy! Right, oh, ankle lock. Damn it, I got to work on that.
Hey, so, quick Randy story. Sorry, I apologize, and it's one of my favorite guys to train with. And imagine that guy had time in his life. He could have been a world champion as far as I'm concerned. Easily. Like, he was so, and we knew him when he was like 18, right? Like, he started with us when he was 18. Yeah. And now he's a full-grown man, beautiful family as well.
Yes.
I remember he had been out for a little while and he came back and I leg locked him.
Yeah.
He goes, show me what you did there. And I spun around and I showed him a cool entry for a knee bar, and I showed him the knee bar. Dude, I swear to God, I went away. I came back for a quick visit 2 days later for whatever reason. What does the guy do? He slips in. I didn't even know what happened. I swear to God, I blinked, and he had the exact knee bar on me, and it was so tight, and I didn't want to tap, and then he lets go of it. He goes, you should have tapped there. I go, dude, it happened so fast, I couldn't even tap. Right? So he just next level jiu-jitsu brain, you know what I mean? So, and athleticism too.
Yeah, no, but someone like Randy, if because Randy was always doing so much stuff. He's an entrepreneur and all, and so you could imagine if he was
he was focused.
We're gonna sponsor you to just do jiu-jitsu. I don't know if he'd even like that, but
he's too
he had all the giftings. He learned stuff quickly, fearless. You know what I mean? Had the endurance,
warrior,
all of the attributes to say okay. We're going to, Randy, we're going to put you on a scholarship. We're going to cover all your bills. The next 3 years, you're just doing jiu-jitsu. Everyone will know who he is, right? And, you roll with him and you're thinking, okay, I got a beat on this. I know. And he just cartwheels over top of you. You're just like, oh, my God. What are we doing? Right? But, so we're in the room with people like that. And so you're like, Omar's handing out, people are progressing. And it's kind of I don't know if people now can wait for that progression like that. I don't know if there are rooms, because I think that even now coming out of COVID, right? I think people are better. I think overall the skill level in jiu-jitsu has increased because people just know more things.
Agreed.
But I think we did more with less.
Agreed.
Right? So, we developed an understanding of just overall human movement. So you can, right now, if I'm shown a sweep, I can probably pick it up before the third or fourth time you've wrapped it. Because we just know how the body moves now. Because we had to figure out how to sweep people with 2 sweeps. Right, because we had to wait for the next video to come back from Brazil, or for Omar to show us something that he's working on, and so we learned how to move humans, how to submit humans with, we were like the proverbial kill someone with a spoon.
Right.
We didn't have guns. We didn't have
great. I love that.
Right? We got to kill him. Here's the spoon. You got to kill him. Right?
Yeah.
So we figured out how to sharpen the spoon, how to use the spoon, how to. Now people have more. They have like Flow Grappling. They have BJJ Fanatics. They have Hodger has a channel. Andre Gaval has a channel.
Silver Grappler.
Channel, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, you said.
No, the Silver Grappler channel.
There you go. Right? So much information. And so now it's like, should we expect people to be better at jiu-jitsu? And should we grade them harder because there's more information out there? That's the internal conversation. Because I look at it like now, I am able to spend more time rolling with my students. Omar did not have the ability to roll with the 40, 50 people that would show up for class, right, on a Monday evening or a Tuesday evening. But I got like 6 or 7 people show up to class, so I can roll with all of them, right? That's going to make them better. So should I mark them harder because they have more? This is kind of where, as an instructor, I'm kind of like, okay, how do I evaluate progress when you have more and you're getting more, but I did more with less. So it's like, I'm trying to figure out that. That's my internal conversation in terms of being fair.
It's tough to compare.
Right. Because I don't, they're not me.
And I'm not saying we were better. I'm not saying
No.
it's just a different, it's a different
time.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Again, I'm back to everyone's on their own journey.
Yeah, man.
I do feel that some schools are handing belts out like candy, which is very concerning. I don't want to see the day where I don't like the paper-based card that they're saying if you show up to this number of classes, dude, if that ever is a thing, I'll quit that gym right away. You know what? Worst case, I'll freaking go and open up my own gym again just to make sure that never happens. I don't want to see a school, oh, if you know these moves, do this demonstration for us, do this kata. Man, don't even freaking talk to me about a kata. That's one of my pet peeves in life. So I just think it's school based. You know what? I don't care if you have a club brown belt or a club black belt.
Yeah.
Right? But the way you should look at it, and here's where we come from the same cut for sure. If you have a colored belt on your waist, you should be able to go to any gym in the world and not necessarily win, but represent that belt.
Yeah.
And they will say, yeah, that for sure is a purple belt. That for sure is a brown belt. Doesn't mean you're smashing everyone.
Yeah.
Man, I'm a grizzled veteran, right? And these 16-year-old kids who've been training like 8-9 years as well. Sorry, man. Like the 3rd minute into it, like I'm exhausted because they're moving around so much. So unless I'm on top of them, squeezing their life, I'm in for the fight of my life.
No, I hear that.
So we're all at different steps. How about the kids? Are you strict with the kids at all, or?
I mean, most of the kids train once a week. I just try to make it fun for them. We just had like a in-house tournament.
Nice.
I did it as an exercise for the kids and the parents. I wanted to see the resilience, right? Because I'm a believer that's the benefit of jiu-jitsu for the young and for the old. That ability to be able to manage bad positions in a world where people typically don't want you to be uncomfortable. So there was crying. I loved it. Right? There was disappointment. I loved it. There was winners. I told parents, like I got like some little medals. I said there will be medals handed out. There's going to be winners and there's going to be losers.
Yep.
Right. This is not that your child is a loser, but they have to learn how to manage that.
You got to learn how to lose.
The tournament, right? It's like the tournament. The people who we think are going to be at the end are generally not the people who are at the end. Anything can happen.
Yep.
Two people meet each other earlier on in the bracket, and they cancel each other out. And then the person everyone thought, oh yeah, for sure in the finals. No, he met the third place person at the beginning of the bracket, and that third place person beat him by an advantage and went on.
Styles make matches, right?
Right. And and that person I was disappointed because they thought they were going to win. I love that part of competition.
Yep.
Right? Not that you have to compete, but I love what it makes you into. Like, it gives you a heart to manage disappointment and stress and fighting through things, and nobody ever comes in perfect, right?
Yep.
But you fight anyway. You make weight, you sacrifice to make weight, you put your gi on, you suck back on the Gatorade so your mouth is not as dry as it was earlier.
Yeah.
And they say combate, and you go, and whatever happens, the end result is the end result. Win or lose, you come out better. You come out sharper. You come out meaner. You come out edgier. You're like, because in your mind, you're like, I want to fight this person again because they beat me. I want to see them again because I want to test myself against my better that was today. Right? I love that part of competition.
I tell people it doesn't matter if you're competing at 5 years old or 50 years old. If you treat the tournament and the tournament preparation, that doesn't mean 6-7 times a week, 3 times a day. You do what you can. Mm-hmm. I do when I get ready for tournaments, even to this day. I align everything with my wife and my work, right. and I get in as much time as I can, more than normal.
Yes.
And then when the tournament's done, I can go back to normality, if you will. But I tell people, if you put yourself through that grind, you will come out of that better. It's just the beauty of our sport, right? It's just that's the natural evolution. Is you go to you've trained, you've prepared, you're like, oh, the stresses of, oh boy, if I don't train harder or if I don't raise the intensity of my sparring, I'm not going to be ready for the tournament. And just that mental mindset will just bring your game to the next level. The people I do get mad at are the folks that, I'm just going to sign up to the tournament last second. Well, did you prepare for it? Have you done anything? So are you just showing up? Oh, I don't care. I don't care if I win or lose. Why? Why don't you care if you win or lose? You should be going in there with trying to win. That plan. There's the key word, brother. Like the plan, right? The fact that you're stopping and thinking about what's my plan? How am I going into executing that plan? In the gym, building on top of it, and then putting everything on the line during the tournament. I appreciate all the amazing insight that you've provided. So because we're focused on the older grapplers and keeping them showing up to the gym, what would be sort of some of your final thoughts to those older grapplers to keep motivation when it comes to jiu-jitsu, maintain that motivation, if you will?
If you can, connect with other people in your gym, create a nice network of people kind of on the same wavelength as you, maybe older, not necessarily older than you, but older, have kind of the same kind of job situation and stuff. Because having peers and having friends will help you maintain your connection to jiu-jitsu, right? This is as much social as it is athletic, right? Take the time also to speak to your instructor. Right? It's good to know the expectations, if your instructor has expectations of you. That way you don't feel as though you're kind of lost in the sauce of just what's happening at the gym. And then, like I said, listen to your body, right?
Listen to your body.
The more rest you need. You need rest, right? Part of training is watching videos. Part of training is having conversations and problem solving. If you're injured, doesn't mean you don't come to the gym. You can come to the gym and watch stuff happening. You can come to the gym and only do things that are kind of working with your injury. So if you've injured your back, hey, just watch. If you've maybe injured another joint, use the other side. And go at a pace that you don't push yourself to injure your other parts of your body. It's just respecting your body, respecting your time. You know, jiu-jitsu is a great thing because you can meet really interesting people that you can have lifelong friendships. Like we're going on 25 years worth of friendship and training together. It's worth it. It's worth the investment of time. But just be smart. Respect your body. Respect your time. And I think you'll continue to enjoy the journey well into your 50s, 60s. And if we're all blessed, our 70s.
Wow. I don't think I could have summarized it any better, Professor. I just want to take this opportunity to thank you for your time. I'm definitely going to invite you back for a future podcast so we can dig into a few other topics that we just scratched the surface on. We didn't even talk too much about your boxing, and we didn't even talk about, you know, some of our interesting training sessions that we've had together. So perhaps that could be a fun topic as well. So, Professor,
thank you.
Thank you so much for your time again.
Hope to see you on the mat soon.
Thank you, brother. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Do us a favor. Leave us a comment. Which part did you enjoy? What part would you like us to dig in a little bit more about? Your support is much appreciated. Can't wait to see you again. Have a great day.
Take care.